Welcome to the Hamsley Analytics Daily Market Commentary. I'm Pablo Navarro. Today is Friday, August 24, 2012. For the market internals, the New York Stock Exchange advanced decline differential closed at 782. Nasdaq advanced decline differential closed at 568. There were 14 new 52-week highs for the S&P 500 and 3 new 52-week lows for the S&P 500. For the volatility, there were 247,000 contracts traded on the VIX today, with 39 million in total premiums paid. For the dollar-weighted put-call ratio in September, we saw 0.51, which is neutral, with 37% of the total premiums paid. For October, a 0.42, which is bearish, with 23% of the total premiums paid. And in November, 0.18, bearish, with 33% of the total premiums paid. Here we have the daily chart for SPX. We have a big update today in 0.65% for the SPX. 9 handles higher. Now we bounced off 0.6 perfectly here. We talked about this bounce that we needed here for continuing the uptrend, and we closed at 14.11. We want to go here next week and close, maybe test these highs of the year we've made and continue the uptrend. CI continues to be positive slope here and red, which means we are still in a warning zone. CI diff again also negative. Sigma channel width, at least we stopped contracting here. Now we're flat, and we want to see an expansion again when the market continues its path higher. Targets for SPX here on the daily chart, we're looking for 1428. That's gonna be positive 2 sigma. Of course, that will be a new high of the year, so we want to take that there and see what happens from here. Now let's go to the weekly chart. Here we have SPX weekly chart, and we could see here that we are still on the upward trend line that we drawn. We didn't even come and test it here, and we hold so far the positive 1, positive 2 sigma channel. Next target here would be 1434 on the weekly, which is 2 sigma, pretty close to the 2 sigma on the daily chart. So 1430, 1428 next targets on the upside. On the downside, we're still looking for this 1400 level to hold here. That's gonna be the weekly trend line we are talking about, and we wanted to respect it and still go higher. If we do break to the downside that trend line, we're looking for 1360. That's 0 sigma on the daily chart. Very important levels here on the weekly chart, and basically not much happening on this week. We could see here on this chart. CI continues to be going higher, but the slope is now turning flattish here. You can see we're going higher, and now it's trying to turn flat. Same for CI diff. Here it picked, and now we're trying to go lower. We wanted to resume its upward trend line and go to higher. Sigma channel width on the daily chart, very flat here, nothing going on. So we needed to go a lot higher for this to start going up, and that's for the weekly chart. For SPY, here we have the chart for SPY, and we're looking for 143.60 as our target up there. And on the downside, we're looking for 140, and if we do break that, we're looking for 136.26. That's 0 sigma on the weekly chart. One thing to point out here, we do have a red CI now here on the weekly chart. This again is not a selling sign, this is just a warning sign. We still have a positive slope on CI. Same for here on CI div. We're starting to retrace somewhat, but still we're higher in positive territory, so maybe it's time to go up one more time. On the daily chart for SPY, we have a big update today, 0.7%. We want to see 143.45. That's our next target here. We want to test the highs of the year and continue to hold this 140 level. Those are critical levels here on the SPY. For moving averages, today you could see here we have a trend line. We touched it perfectly, bounced off the trend line here, which was also the 20-day moving average, bounced perfectly off that average, and we wanted to continue here. We've made a higher low from this one, and now we want to make a higher high. That would make us continue our channel up that we've been on the last couple of months throughout the summer. Now let's go here to the daily chart and look at NDX. Here we have the daily chart for NDX, and you can see we're still getting now on the positive 2 sigma channel again here on this Nasdaq 100, and our next target would be 2823. That of course is higher than the high of the year. Keep that in mind. 0 sigma at 2720, that's the level we want to hold in case we get another pullback here. So we're watching for 2823 and 2720 on the daily chart for NDX. For the weekly chart, very tight volatility. You can see here the channels are doing anything pretty tight, and we're looking for pretty much positive 2 sigma is at 2803. That's almost where we are, and that's the positive 2 sigma on weekly chart. Rarely do we see a positive 3 sigma, but that is at 2890. On the downside, 2630 would be the last stop on NDX weekly chart. That's for longer term trading. Let's go to the Qs. On the Qs here on the weekly chart, and we're watching for 71, let's call it 71 is gonna be the upper target here, positive 3 sigma. That's gonna be a little overextended in case we get it next week, but that is the target. On the downside, 6450, 0 sigma on the daily chart, and 6666, which is positive 1 sigma on the daily chart for the Qs here. We started getting here a red CI on the Qs, and as I mentioned, this is not a selling sign. We continue to have positive slope, which is good for the market overall. Now going to the daily chart. Here we have it, our target 69.45, positive 2 sigma on the daily chart, and then 70.8, almost 71 we talked about. On the downside, we're looking at 66.80, pretty similar to the positive 1 sigma on the weekly chart. And if we do break that level, we're probably going down to the 65.5 level. But that's the level we really want to hold on the daily chart, 66.80. CI pretty flat here, but still have not started to turn lower, which is quite positive. Okay, now going to the IWM. Russell 2000 ETF. Here we have it. We have an update today, 0.44. This ETF has been lagging the overall market. You can see here we're only at 80.74. Our stop on the downside, 79.80, and we have to watch if we break this purple line, which is the 200-day moving average. Our target on the upside, 82.50, and the highs of the year. We have to keep in mind here we're making another double top. We want to watch this double top. Maybe we need to break that fast, or in case it's not gonna work. Another interesting pattern, we're just gonna look at it in another chart here. Maybe we're getting an inverse head and shoulders. Here we have it, shoulder number 1, head and shoulder number 2. Right now, the upper target we talked about, this 82.50, that is the neckline. We need to watch and break that level to the upside. This is an 8-point inverse head and shoulders. If we break it, we should go fairly easy above the highs of the year. Maybe our target would be around 90. Of course, that's gonna take a long term. Look how long the pattern took, around 3 to 4 months. But we need to definitely start breaking that neckline to the upside. This inverse head and shoulders bottoming pattern was important, but we need to finish and confirm the break of the neckline here. That's important here for the IWM or the Russell 2000. Looking at the weekly chart. On the weekly chart, we're still above 0 sigma, which is important at 78.80. That's gonna be our stop on the weekly chart for the downside. And on the upside, we're looking for 85 at positive 3 sigma. Volatility here on the sigma channels is very tight here, so watch out here. Pretty tight. You had the levels on the daily chart. Now let's go for GLD. Very important goal week for gold after the Fed announced that we are going to have more QE. Here we have a huge week on the upside, confirmed breakout. 161.97, let's call it 162. Very good breakout on the weekly chart for GLD. We're now looking for 155, positive 3 sigma. We had been talking about this bottoming here on CI, and it was trying to break out. Well, we got it. We talked last week maybe we were going to see a breakdown or breakout because of the tight sigma channel. We did. We got a breakout thanks to Ben Bernanke. Here we have CI starting to increase, which is very positive here, trying to get some momentum. We're gonna have to watch what happens next, but it clearly confirmed the breakout we got this week. Now going to the daily chart. After the day we broke the 200-day moving average here at 160. We never came back to test it so far. We had another up percent the next day, and today we were flat. A doji here for GLD, but there's no pullback. We talked about being short-term overbought on the positive 3 sigma. For the daily chart, well, we are now on positive 2 sigma. Still a little bit overbought, but nothing dramatic here anymore. We want to continue some consolidation above the 160 level and maybe just start going higher for the next couple of weeks. Would be very good here in GLD. For a shorter term target, 163.36 is going to be the target here for GLD. Last chart we're going to look at is the VIX. Here we have the VIX down almost 5%. We broke down 0.6 that we had broke above yesterday and closed at 15.18. Very interesting reversal, almost taking all of the gains from yesterday and leaving us pretty much where we were before. On the weekly chart, pretty easier to see here the VIX, but very interesting week. We had long term of down weeks on the VIX. You could see all these red bars, and now we have this green bar here. Maybe we're starting to creep up on the VIX, bring some volatility now that the summer is over, and maybe get those trades out. Better intraday trading environment. We have a special offer by TradeStation. Get your Hamsi Analytics proprietary indicators paid by TradeStation. Contact Active Traders office in Chicago, Peter Albino, at the number listed below. Have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you Monday.